Worlds are just a day away, but until then, we have time to take a look back at some of the highlights from the week 2 of regionals. Therefore, for today, we're going to be hopping in game with Black Sheep, one of the up-and-coming players on the Americas side. Had a phenomenal performance during the week 1 of regionals. Week 2 was a little up and down, but nonetheless, he managed to put up this stellar game. We're going to start out by opting to play around this potential of a Veigar and a Poppy. Have that tier, so we are assuming that we might be considering playing some AP opener, but instead opting to make this Caitlyn 2 rather than hold on to this Leona. We have a Protector's Vow that if we had hit more Cho'Gath, definitely one of the better slams, but for now going to be playing around these Bastions and then trying to see if we can string together some form of a backline. With this Caitlyn 2, we'd ideally definitely want some form of attack speed items and the Fate Weaver obviously to pair together with her. Now here's an interesting decision. We can either opt to make 10 and then hold on to these Bastions with a Poppy pair and a Veigar right there, but otherwise our opener does not seem to establish any kind of direction now, nor there are items. Can also consider holding on to these extra units. Playing around 3 Meeple with the Gnar, do not have a bow, would want Meepsy for that, so this is a little tricky right here. Warpath, an augment that you take if you're saying that I'm just better than everyone else in the lobby. I think Black Sheep is a little humbler than that to be considering in the stack lobby with Soju, Darfnu, Broseph, Wasion, Elite, just top names across the board, right? Clear Mind, great if you're opting to loss streak into... You can obviously still play for a win streak if you have a strong opener and are meticulous about how you play around the board. This, if you're able to string wins together, this is great. Otherwise, loss streak into one of these blinds that bound a lot of specific components, something like LeBlanc. However, since we're lacking from direction, I believe that this frontline foundation is quite good. Time stream, I haven't seen this succeed in any competitive play. I haven't seen it even clicked, but in your ranked games, if you want some fun, click it. Slamming, generically good econ option if you have a direction and a slam. We are lacking that right now. Therefore, frontline foundation is very appealing. Establish direction, maybe get some item tempo together. Get a Bastion emblem, which is not bad in our spot considering we are already playing around these Bastions. Do get a Poppy too from it if you hit another Bastion. Could consider playing around the 4 Bastion and something like in a mid game with a backline. Going to opt to instead go for this Akali right there, activating Nova, get 2 Bastion online, and last second level here to slot in that Bel'Veth as well. Going to provide a little bit more durability for our Akali as well. Q into Toadie, who has picked up the same augment and is playing to opt to play around these Meeples right here. Otherwise, we just have to hope that our items should establish our direction. We are playing in an Echo and a Kale game, so we have the potential to high roll some of these items to establish it a little bit. Still opening to hold onto the full bench right now. Well, maybe we're going to consider scouting around, and yeah, going to opt to consider to hold on to this Jinx. We have hit a Jinx with a Bastion emblem. You can still consider playing around this Jinx reroll, but definitely would want to see some bows and swords to be considering it, right? Your fast 8 lines, you can be a little bit more flexible with your tempo slams, whereas in reroll you have to have these strong augments. You have to be able to stabilize on the stage 3 or keep up your tempo if you're opting to reroll, and then have concentrate power into these 3 stars. Whereas with fast 8 you generally have a potential for a higher cap. Right now we have a possibility to also play maybe into some Nova tempo if we wanted to. The Bastion emblem is there, is quite good, all things considered. But we queue into... unfortunately, this is where our streak is definitely going to get broken. We queue into CMB, who has that Thresher's Lantern. These extra units in the early game, super valuable to be pulled in. And simply has a very strong frontline. And yeah, we take a 4 or 5 unit loss right there. For our gold selection, wow. Okay. I love craftsmanship. We have a single Reforger already, so even more value. Gain a little bit of gold. Our streak just got broken. Have potential to tailor your components, especially since we have started out with a tank slam. If we just keep directing drop tank components, we might be in little shambles. But Artifact Anvil obviously has a higher potential cap. We have the Reforger in case we completely miss on it for another shot. But I am just a craftsmanship lover. Nevertheless, Black Sheep here is a better player. He's recognizing that this might give him a potential for a higher cap. Otherwise, with this Bastion emblem, what we could truly consider playing is obviously Corki Riven is a possibility, but we already see that there's this, I think it was Toadie right there, yeah, who was already playing into that line, so... And we do not have any swords for to consider potentially playing around the Corki itself. We see we are going to slotting in 3 Primordial just to try to make econ thresholds, but we saw that deleted here, who we queue into him right away, is also trying to angle this Jinx reroll. So I'm not sure if you want to be playing into the Jinx. I did not check his components, but we do not have swords, we do not have bows. This is the tough part. These are the tough spots where you are not exactly fully tempoing. Your streak is not getting strung together for have the econ advantage to consider playing into something really. And you have around these tank slams, and you know this frontline foundation is considered partially as a tempo augment since it gives you the 2-star, since it gives you an emblem, which is an item, right? You do not have the extra econ that you would be looking for from a weaker opener from the econ augment. We queue into the Darth Noob here, who has that Mordekaiser 2 with a Warmog's extremely strong item, and the Zoe 2 in the backline now to support with a Teemo 2. Definitely going to be picking up a loss here, so now we are in a mixed situation. Without clear direction, we're hoping for something to bail us out or provide us a clear direction. These are some of the toughest spots to consider into TFT. He's holding onto these Meeple units for a potential to maybe play around that. Just utilize these Primordials as extra drip econ. Very, very tough in my opinion to be figuring out what to do in this kind of spot. So let's see how he manages to bounce back. We have the glove, which again, generically good component, but does not provide you with that much of a direction. Now the shop wants us to incline to be potentially playing into the Jinx reroll, but we saw the deleted there with a calculated loss is going to have the econ advantage, and we only find a single sword, but IE is not something you would be excited about slamming onto the Jinx. So maybe with a Striker's Flare and an open sword we can still consider Corki, but we think there was a Veigar player also in the lobby. We see that Vasion here is playing around the DB, IE, Dawncore, MF. Dawncore definitely one of the best, pretty much the only time this MF line was truly committed to into these regionals. For ourselves, if we had a decent board, forward thinking in my opinion here would be actually quite appealing. The extra drip econ we get from Primordial would allow us to remake our econ intervals a little stronger, but we are going to be lacking tempo in that direction. Now, whereas with the combat augment, we would want to, you know, be in a spot to actually tempo, but our board is not supporting the tempo either, so this is a tricky situation. Cosmic Restart, though, in my opinion, is just still over budget for a gold augment, especially in the hands of a good player who can string together a decent board that can preserve lives even on less resources. Plus, it provides with these emblems. We have a Reforger so that we can finally establish our direction. Gain 21 gold, gain 21 gold. Not much to say. Jude Lotus. Good, especially in my opinion in these AP lines where you can just funnel raw AP plus a mana item onto use AP casters. Going to utilize some of our free rerolls here just to try to, I guess, roll once? Okay, I'm gonna say roll once, roll twice. See if we can make together some kind of a board that we can string together. We get a Nova and an Anima emblem, obviously going to rip this, the Reforge on Anima emblem. Not going to be playing around Anima, even though we could have went for maybe a little cash out if we found the units, but then we will be sacking a lot of lives. And we have deleted who was playing around the calculators, but probably should be spiking at this point in the lobby. Now that we have hit this Nova emblem, he seems to opt to go. I'm going to try into this Nova line. Alright, well, in my opinion, Nova is best played from the tempo spot. We do not have something like a Rage Blade, we have an open sword. Striker as well, generally good since we're going to get the precision from the Akali, but it's a tough call still from this spot. It's like, maybe we're in. I guess the upside is that we're identifying that Tom Kench might not be as contested in this lobby. Kindred shouldn't be that contested, as I didn't see anyone trying to play into the Marauder Yi board. Plus, we have the Marauder emblem. We have a potential to string together a strong board, especially due to these emblems, because the Bastion emblem again synergizes with that Aatrox, and you can have that Shen. Now, for ourselves, the Rod could be give us a half of that Rage Blade, which would be an appealing in that part. But we also have some potential high rolls so that we can hit the Shen that we just alluded we don't need really on level 8. But we have the still potential nonetheless. Just to play around some form of 4 Bastion. Fiora, I guess, would be a good hit as well. Graves is great with Nova Emblem, but if you're going to be low lives, you definitely don't want to be farming mods on the low lives. But on stage 4, you can perhaps get away with it. So we're going to go with the Rod to complete, I guess, half the Rage Blade, and we pick up another sword. Can be a Kindred item, can be a Master Yi item. In my opinion, Master Yi does not really function without an Edge of Night, but Maybe we can have a little bit more durability on him in some form of other ways. I think he just absolutely wants it, and then, you know, at least QSSS or some kind of CCM unity. Going to go for the tempo slam of the Deathblade, since we have this Kaisa too, but our frontline is just not going to have enough stall. We're queuing into these players who have rerolled this Maokai, so he's probably going not going to give you that Kaisa, those resets. So without a mana items, he's going to have a lot of time. Do pick up a lot of resets there, so we're able to take a narrow loss. Actually worked out quite well for ourselves. We're going to rebound some of our econ loss that we have through this loss streak right here. 50 HP here on a 5 loss is not that bad of a spot, actually, especially if we're able to hit 6 loss and carry that 6 loss streak into this PvE round. But the thing is, we have to sack 2 more, so we're going to be dropping down to about 30 HP, I would guess. Now into Toadie, who has that Veigar 3 as well. This Veigar 3, especially with the Rogue's Path right there, he's going to be able to even drop aggro's. Should make short work of our front line. No problem, but did he have a replicator on this board? I think he had a Pantheon, okay, yeah. But has invested that Augment here for the tempo purposes of the Veigar 3 into the Constructor Companion. Now our random artifact comes here with just Seeker's Arm Guard. We do not have Silas in this set, right? I'm just thinking what could be an actually good unit to make use of this artifact. I guess we could just utilize it as a frontline option. Completely fine to stack some of these resistances on you. We have to delay one more turn because the level would be quite expensive despite the free rerolls we have. Now fishing for that sword, I guess here, for that bow. Find that bow, thankfully for that Rage Blade. Since we committed to the DB, we're just going to be slamming the Stone Plate right here. Sort out 3 tank items, I guess. If we move that Seeker's Arm Guard right there, but the Bastion Emblem onto this Maokai is going to be completely fine. Pre-11 here, down to 28 HP, so if we take a huge loss, we actually could drop down to 2 lives, especially going for that stage 5. Now, our augments so far at this moment are pretty much items and items, because emblems are considered truly as items, especially at this point of the game, where they do not provide you with these bronze traits for the tempo purposes. So Salvage Bin and Big Grab Bag are not as appealing, especially Salvage Bin. I like it on 2-1 or 3-2, where you can actually utilize the tempo to reach higher levels. Sunfire board, we do not have the anti-heal and is going to gain a lot of value. It's best picked in 4-2 when you have arrived there without slamming the anti-heal, and you can gain maximum value by having more units on these boards, right? Even though in earlier starts of games, you can actually get to these 18 seconds because the fights are slower. May the Force, if you need a Jin, just click this. This is great for those purposes. Clockstar and Accelerate, the scaling a combat augment that is just, in my opinion, a little under budget, and even though we're going to be playing around the attack speed scaling right here, you're going to have the Kindred alright there with the Rage Blade, which is completely sufficient. And yeah, it's just under budget for the purposes. Plus, we have the anti-heal sorted out right now. Able to hit Tomkench too, but we didn't find, I guess, a single E, at least, unless I missed it. We opted to make that Corki 2 there momentarily, just to trying to string together the strongest board we can. Because we are low on lives, we just need to be trying to stabilize our around whatever we can. Going to opt to slam the 3 items out of this Kindred 1 right here, but apart from the Tomkench 2, we do not have that much. This Kindred 1 with the strong frontline is going to be able to do work, especially against Wasion here, who hasn't spiked yet truly. He's trying to sack some of his HP to now get to this to his spike with the 3 stars. Now we hit the Master Yi. We should, in my opinion, now try to look to transition this Marauder emblem onto this Kindred. Just a little too slow, trying to work on his positioning without really scouting, and now we're gonna have a free Marauder emblem on the bench. Hopefully this is not the diff in this fight against the Shepherd board that has that LeBlanc one, but the Morgana 2 is going to be quite strong. Nonetheless, the Kindred has managed to reach the scaling point, so he's starting to chip at the backline. And the Stormcatch with his Seeker's Arm Guard is actually quite of a beast, able to just hold on to this LeBlanc one, which generally considers LeBlanc as a good unit to deal against these super tanks. Kale offering us a sword. We can make still a lot of use of these swords, but maybe we want an anomaly in this spot. We do not have that many actual items that would benefit from the Kales. Unless I'm missing that emblems can benefit from it, because it's going to need to be unique items as well, right? Artifact has a potential for higher cap, and the anomaly is going to be quite good as a flex item option. But it's quite greedy to be playing as a low HP without an item, especially if we haven't 2-starred our carries yet. This is a rough spot to be in, by all means considered. Now finally transitioning that Marauder emblem onto the Kindred thankfully wasn't a diff the last fight, just a little slow, but hey, this is a complicated roll down whenever you're trying to consider all the possibilities of how to stabilize your board when you're on these low lives. Against deleted, who has spiked around Maokai 3, so that's going to be a little tough for the evasion. That's the thing why the MF reroll has a little struggles here. And yeah, this Jinx is going to burst through here, but nonetheless, Kindred is doing work. Kindred is definitely doing work. We're opting to Nova Selector her as well for this damage jump, so she is scaling into these later stages of the fight and is quite strong, and also the Nova emblem is, yeah, this is what truly enables the possibility to play around this Nova line, right? Still can be utilized also as a cap in your Marauder board. If you have a good psionic item playing around this tempoing of these Marauders, you can utilize this Nova emblem to just as a flex there and then push levels 4-6 Nova. But we have the Marauder, we have both, so I mean, maybe we can reach 6 Marauder as a cap. Quite optimistic. We're low on gold, we still need to hit this Master Yi too. So let's see how we manage to approach it. Now for our items, I don't think we can take this. This wouldn't work our items quite well. We have that Sunfire board, we don't need to make Aurelos. Can we take this? Titans Warmox? I guess it's quite appealing. Especially since Maokai can utilize the raw HP quite a lot. Yeah, Titans for this Master, you just get some form of anti-crowd control onto him, so since we cannot make that Edge of Night, and pure raw HP onto this Maokai. Maybe we should look to move some of these items, because, you know, just even though Maokai absolutely loves raw HP, you want some form of effective HP, and now we have a lot of resistance to this Storm Kench, and not as much as pure HP, whereas Maokai has pure HP and doesn't have that much resistances. Effective HP is by having the durability, the resistances, and the raw HP all combined as stats. And we are here, have managed to string together a 5 streak, so we have managed to bounce our game back quite well. Going to opt to roll aggressively, trying to fish for this Yi 2, and also we still have possibility to slot out this Morgana over this Rast, since we only have 5 traits active, so this is quite alright. The magic breakpoint for the Rast is 6 traits, and still again the resistances and the attack speed, we both love both in this comp. The same as a cap 4, you are regular without an emblem Master Yi board can just slot in the Rast. We cash out Static Shiv, and we find that Yi 2, and we're going to opt to slot the Static Shiv onto this Master Yi. Now, he has the attack speed burst, so maybe he can utilize it just valuing the stats. Onto him, he's going to consider it as stronger than the Nova Emblem, since we are opting to select the Kindred right there. And we're able to, yeah, now our board is definitely quite strong. We saw that this is going to allow us to rolling aggressively on 8 with all these extra emblems. We're able to string together the board quite nicely, and if we're able to actually hit our units, we're going to be definitely quite strong, and even without hitting, we were extremely strong. So shouldn't be sleeping on this Nova line. It has a lot of traction, especially in this lobby. It seems that is playing still around standard board. Here we have 7 Shepherds, so let's see how we fare. We are starting out with this Morgana. It doesn't have the optimal itemization due to the Sterex gauge, but nonetheless, the Yi is putting in a lot of work with this, even you can see the AP damage there from the Static Ship. And the LeBlanc is just having a lot of troubles playing against this Storm Kench, who is just continuously stacking this Seeker's Arm Guard. We can see we're opting to position the Maokai on the side rather than what you would consider the Storm Kench to be the strongest rank due to be, well, even if you swapped around the Stoneblade, right? He's opting to protect him a little bit so that he can lick and start getting these Seeker's Arm Guard stacks, and then when he has stacked up, he's going to be quite strong. Evasion, who has found that Orn 3, best tank you can find. Varus's, I guess, is a fine option, but nonetheless, we are just outscaling. This MF cannot deal. She does not have enough time to fully capitalize on these Dawnbreaker reduced mana costs and to just boost through our frontline. We have so much frontline presence, and the Kindred is just able to ramp into Narnia together also with this true damage component. That is actually one way you duel with this Sword, is by having some kind of true damage to get through him, right? Yeah. So now we have managed to make our way to level 9. What we could be slotting in, I do not, unless if you have a good psionic item, could consider that. Going to opt to go for more attack speed through this shed for now. You have to remember, it's Silver Scrapes. Did not forget. You always forget unless when we can just pick up Edge of Night here. Again, a little slow on the decision. I would have preferred maybe to move this Edge of Night onto this Master Yi. Nonetheless, going to be tossing it somewhere. I did not even catch it. Picking up a win, and we are... And the Soju got taken out by Darth Noob, or was deleted. And we are off this with the Silver Scrapes races. Darth Noob capping around here from these Vanguard lines, played around at Asol before, stabilized hard around this Leona print as well, and made it to the level 9 to cap around these Bard Flex and the Blitzcrank 2 right there with the Ludens Echo. Definitely, but even though an underpowered artifact should still be quite good onto this Blitzcrank. Nonetheless, we are able to level 4 our Spike with another thing you might have noticed. He rolled there on level 9 to secure the Surgat because he identified the 6 Marauder to be the highest cap that you could be watching out for. Now we hit this Fire 2 to respond to the Darth Noob's Sona 2. Just hit there, going to transition the items on her. And we're going to concentrate our damage onto this Leona, as he does not really have that much else frontline. The Blitzcrank gets the reset. The Master Yi is tagging together here with this Fiora, but the Fiora goes on the opposite weak side and clears it up. And you can see he picks up a win against the world champ. Just take a look at this fight, as it was quite bursty from our side. The 6 Marauder providing so much extra AD on our board. And the Master Yi with this ragtag build still putting in a lot of work. Our frontline is just extremely durable due to the extra emblems and due to the Tomkins now receiving these Seeker's Arm Guard stats. That just the Bard doesn't have that much presence right there. The Blitzcrank didn't get a good ult off either, because he even moved, like, this is another part to note here. He moved it onto the third row so that he would be theoretically interesting. Like, it's 2 hexes by bow. Is it weird? I wonder why this Blitzcrank was able to move up further, because theoretically he has to make 2 hexes of distance here to attack this Maokai, so the Master Yi should be moving up 1 hex. And then I suppose the hex is occupied. That's why he starts out here on this Blitzcrank. This was actually one of the key factors that allowed him to win this fight right here. Because the Blitzcrank didn't get the ult off on this high HP Maokai right at the start of the fight. And I didn't actually get it off at all. So that made a huge difference right there. By all means, well played game by Black Sheep. Rough start, didn't manage to find a streak, didn't really have a direction established. But once we saw that Cosmic Restart, we're able to actually properly spike our board, establish that direction, manage to preserve the necessary amount of HP and find a way to make our items work. Playing for around a high cap of having the extra artifacts as well, and identifying that we need to aggressively stabilize our board around these emblems and around our 4 costs on level 8 before we can even consider pushing 9. Once we had done so, strung together a great win streak to be able to push levels and then out cap the Fast 9 board from Darth Noob. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.